Welcome to Command Control Power, the longest-running Apple consulting podcast. For over a decade, we've delivered weekly episodes filled with epic tech support stories, troubleshooting insights, discussions about managing clients and businesses, and interviews with industry colleagues and vendors, all tailored for our pro listeners. We also offer exclusive content through Patreon. This private podcast feed is designed specifically for IT professionals, providing valuable advice and guidance on tackling the more complex aspects of running your practice, working with clients and employees, and managing device fleets. With a modest monthly contribution, you'll gain access to a wealth of advanced Apple expertise, meaningful connections, and a community driven by a shared passion for Apple technology. Visit commandcontrolpower.com and click support to learn more.
Command Control Power is brought to you commercial-free thanks to the support of our incredible community. We extend a special thank you to our VIP Premier partners, Outage, the leading Apple device management platform, Tidbits Content Network, Watchman Monitoring, Cirrus Partners, Electrona, the makers of Patch, and our newest VIP partner, Scout IT. We truly appreciate our VIP supporters and all of our patrons for making this show possible. Thank you.
Welcome to another fine episode of Command Control Power. How are you doing, Sam?
I'm a little tired, but I'm okay.
Yeah, you've been teaching all day again, huh? Is that right or no?
It's the way it goes. Yes, I have been. And it went a little long today, so my brain's a little shot. You'll forgive me if I'm not as sharp as I usually am.
No worries. Yeah, that's why we have three of us on the show. We usually can
where's Jerry?
As needed. Yeah, actually, right now we don't. Jerry is checking on the animals, I believe, so he will be joining us very shortly. As we record, it's late January 2026, and we had a Verizon outage. I know Jerry doesn't like to mention that, Sam. I know where you're going with that, but he did mention it last show, so that's on him. But I mentioned the date and time because we're thinking about this Verizon outage, which is pretty widespread. Only, what was it, last week? I'm just curious, did that affect any of your clients? Did you hear from people? I was surprised to not hear from anyone about it.
I heard from my father-in-law and my dad.
Okay, there you go.
Hey, I got a question. My phone is saying SOS.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. Yep.
But no clients. Yeah, I think they were pretty informed. I guess the news or whatever showed them that there was an issue, and I didn't hear from anybody.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, same for me. I noticed secondhand, basically, that there was an issue. I have both AT&T and Verizon, so I didn't even notice if I was affected. I guess I was. Was literally everybody affected? Do you know the scope of it?
The interesting thing was my father-in-law texted me from my mother-in-law's phone. They're both on Verizon, and their numbers are one number apart. And his was down and hers was fine.
Huh, weird. Okay.
Yeah, and showing the SOS status as well. And it's very strange. They're both hitting the same towers. They're presumably.
Right. Yeah, that's weird. Exactly. I really don't understand cell infrastructure very well. Also, just the fact that this can even happen. And again, it was like the recent, what was it, a Cloudflare outage where they blamed it afterwards as like on an update. And this is also bad news for the industry because every time some client hears, a bad update, that's why I don't do updates. And it's just, oh man, please do updates. But
that's why I'm still on OS 9. I'm safe that way.
Exactly. So it's just all we need is like more bad news about updates. But I that's what I heard. I don't know if that was like, I didn't really read too much into it, but something to do with a bad update that Verizon pushed out. You always wonder if that's really the reason or not. But
I know. I heard it was software related, but it also goes back to, it wasn't an update, the issue behind CrowdStrike as well. So
yeah, was that the one I was thinking of? But yeah, exactly.
I'm fairly certain that's what happened with CrowdStrike. And it's just insane to me that something was not vetted and tested before updated.
Yeah.
For like the world.
Right.
That's just like
this deploy to production. Yeah. Just push it out to everybody. Yeah. Yeah. Not even just regionally. We tested it on one tower or something. It just seems, they need to go back and look at their design there. We've criticized Apple for this and stuff too, for various times, but it's tough. You really need to bake that in, I think, from the beginning when you're designing these kinds of update workflows and testing environments and things. But I've always asked for some kind of middle way. I don't want to be on the latest beta of anything. And I certainly wouldn't recommend that to my clients. And for my clients, I typically want them on the latest public release update for all the reasons we're implying here, vulnerabilities and things that typically come out and are known by hackers, and Apple patches them, and then you need that patch pretty soon thereafter. But I would love to be able to say, give me that update, but not on day one. Give me that update on day 7 or whatever it is, so that inevitably when Apple pushes one of these updates that bricks something for 10% of people or whatever it is, or maybe this applies to like a Verizon issue like we're talking about, people can deploy the update, brick 10% of computers, pull the update, and my clients are not affected. And that's how I roll. Like, I typically vet the update. So I will install it on my 3 test machines. I will check with the hive mind of Slack and make sure that other people have tested this out and there's no showstoppers before I manually increment my update that's being pushed out to my clients that are managed. Right. I just mean for home users or somebody, wouldn't it be great to be able to say, keep me up to date all the time, always install the latest update, but not on day 1, do it on day 5 or 10 or whatever. That's what I've been asking for, and I want that to be built into Apple's infrastructure. And I just wonder also, does this apply to somebody like Verizon with all their, like you said, a staging environment or something? There's got to be a way where there's a middle ground to catch some of these issues.
I would agree. That's the piece that one of my clients wanted me to do too, is because as you're saying, you could either defer entirely for a certain amount of time, or you can enforce before this amount of time, but you can't say between 5 days and, is that what you're saying? Wait 5 days, but also install it before 20 days or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That would be ideal, to just be like in this window, this sweet spot of give them a few days to figure out the issue and pull it, so that my clients don't get bad update if it happens, but they don't wait forever.
I know. I had to do something like that. So this client that I was mentioning, they wanted IT team to get the update right away. And then they wanted the rest of the staff to, because we use Nudge for announcing the updates, and they wanted the rest of the staff to receive Nudge, but only after 5 days after the update came out. So I always had to tweak Nudge every time there was an update and say, okay, not yet, but 5 days from now. But it's similar theories to what you're saying. We want to be on the bleeding edge, but we don't want our users to. But at the same time, we don't want them not updating. And so it's this little window of time.
Yeah, and it seems like this should be built in. Again, this doesn't sound like a very far-fetched request to be able to do what your client wanted. And shouldn't all of these platforms have this option built in where you can just say, I don't know how to even design the UI, but it seems like the way the UI is designed now, I need to do a lot of math in my head to figure out what version and date and criteria and whatever, and formulate that in some custom thing that I think I'm making something really fancy. And it just seems like the most basic request that should just be a checkbox. Do you want people to be on the cutting edge? Check here. Do you want these other people in this scope to be in that middle window? Check here. These people can be on betas. Just checkboxes all the way down.
And maybe we'll see it with DDM being so manageable now, or so specific. We'll see. DDM's come a long way. I think there should be some kind of specificity there brought about in the near future. That's my guess, but we'll see.
Yeah, I need to learn more about DDM as well. I know Jerry mentioned recently he's been playing with, is it called DDM Notify or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm curious, so you're using Nudge to send notifications. Nudge used to be the way to literally nudge someone into using the built-in updater mechanism. But I basically stopped using it when Apple stopped supporting being able to click a button in the update mechanism to actually deploy the update. Because my clients would see the notification, they'd see the thing that would bring them to the software update, but then Apple puts a big banner at the top, upgraded Tahoe now. It's 26.0. You're ready to go. I didn't want them to stumble into those kinds of updates. So I just lost interest in Nudge at that point, where Apple stopped really supporting that as a mechanism. And I switched to all MDM updates, and it was great. And I've been sticking with MDM since then. But now, of course, that's old news. We're talking DDM now. So how do you roll with Nudge and DDM, and how do you recommend people get started with that?
I've started to move away from Nudge. Actually, I have 2 specific clients that I can think of that are using it. One that to get this feature in certain MDMs, you got to make some changes, and they haven't done it in their MDM yet. We don't own their MDM. Okay. So we have to wait for them to do this new DDM feature update. And for the other one, it's just the way their staff was used to. So like, I don't want to change that just yet. And I'm like, all right, but we got a better way.
Yeah.
But the ones that we have implemented, the declarative software updates, it has been working out really well because it sets the timer that we want. It notifies people. Yes, it's just a notification center, which is why Jerry had mentioned DDM Notify.
Okay.
But
yep.
Because DDM Notify, I think, and I have not used it, I've read up on it, but I think it just, because DDM updates just use Notification Center, it's easy to miss.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
I think
if you're in
like
Do
a
Not
flash thing.
Disturb, you
Yeah.
don't even see that. If you have certain focus modes, you don't even see that. If you're always on a video call, those notifications, yeah, it's very easy to miss that if you don't see it when it pops up. That's interesting, Sam. So yeah, that's a good point. DDM Notify to have control over. I want a thing in the middle of the screen. I assume it has the option to be like modal, where like it blurs out the background at a certain point in time, like it forces you to read this message or that kind of thing.
Yeah, Jerry, have you used DDM Notify, or you just been playing around with it, or what?
So it's developed by this fellow by the name of Dan Nelson.
Yeah.
And every week there's about 17 different versions. So he keeps on reiterating, and then there's people who contribute, and
yeah,
too much for you?
It's stable, but it's like a moving target. So it's very difficult for me to find something that I can settle on and then say, okay, I'm going to use this in Outage, and this is the way I'm going to notify I like it. I like the idea, but I need everything to just stop for a little while so I could get a stable environment.
It's called DDM OS Reminder. My bad.
Oh, yeah. I feel like maybe that changed. I don't know. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
But Swift Dialog, right? So it probably incorporates the package or something.
Yeah, and you can make it full screen with a blurred background and stuff. So yeah, it seems pretty cool. I just have not played with it. That's all. And Dan has also done Set Up Your Mac, which has been really good for automated device enrollment. So I like his work. I just haven't gotten a chance to play with this one.
Yeah. And my understanding too is that it will scrape or notice when there's an update available through DDM software updates. Not just like that your Mac is running version 15.7.2 and we all know that 15.7.3 is out, but in fact that you've scoped this Mac to require now 15.7.3 through DDM software updates. And I believe DDM Notify will, or whatever it's called, DDM OS Notify or whatever, will notice that there's a update that essentially you as the administrator has queued up for this particular machine and that it needs to be installed by a certain date, and it uses those time ranges and all to help you determine when to display this dialog, is my understanding. So seems like a better pairing with DDM updates than just recreating that in Nudge, essentially, my understanding.
Yeah, for sure. I think if you're going to use something in alongside with DDM, this seems like the tool of choice.
Yeah, that's an area I need to explore. And I think my understanding of these software updates and the ability to control the version and all that will evolve with that, because I just haven't. Outage supports it. They recommend DDM software update management, but I just haven't played with that yet because MDM has been working really well for me over time. I love these days when I connect to a machine that is enrolled in my monthly plan, it almost always is already up to date. That's, to me, it sounds so simple, and it's not even hard to achieve if you manually change it to automatically install and whatever. But this gives me control of when these updates go out and all that, and whether I release them or not. So I like that benefit as well. But the fact that it generally means that my fleet is up to date that's my offering. That's one of the key features of my offering, where we keep you up to date. You don't have to worry about it. If they're not, there's such a contrast. If they're not enrolled in my plan, they're all over the place. They're like 15.6.1. They haven't been restarted in 50 days. They're just like all over the place. I don't know. It's just anecdotal, but I can't help but notice it constantly when I have a client that's on the plan. They are up to date, and it just means that I don't have to like think about that and check that and worry about that. And as a prerequisite, let's update to see if it fixes this random bug you're having. It's done. We just jump right into this solution. Yeah, it's just a great thing to have.
That's how you got to sell it to your non-managed clients. Be like, listen, you guys are all over the place. You got to get with my other team that's much better managed, and just yell at them a little bit and see if they go for it.
Exactly. I will say, we don't talk about this much on the public show in as much detail, but lately, so fall, I had a really good quarter for signing up clients to my subscription plan. This is why a lot of this stuff is on my mind lately. I had basically 2 new clients sign up and 2 longtime clients also sign up. And the longtime clients, one of them just said, yeah, I think I should probably, what was that thing you mentioned back when they like just proactively asked me about it? I said, yeah, great. And they signed, and I couldn't believe it. They actually signed up. And another one was a client who walked away at a certain point because we weren't ready to drop everything and help them because they were not on a plan and we were busy, and we pitched the plan at the time and said, you really should be on. Anyway, they walked away, and they walked back to us recently and
Nice.
said,
That's always good.
I think it's time we sign up for your plan. So it was like really reassuring to have those. And then this quarter, we're in winter now. We also had 2 more clients sign up from it. And these are residential clients, not like huge multiples per month, but
Still
every
nice.
little bit. Yeah, it's very nice. And it adds up. And it's very reassuring when people are like, yeah, we like your offering. Let's do it. So I wanted to just throw that out there. I'm curious what you guys have seen on that. But Sam, how are you doing? I know you lost one. I think you gained one. You kind of seems to be always in flux a little bit, right? But how's it going overall?
Lately there's been a lot of flux, and it's starting to shake itself out and be okay. But it's just, I hate that. It's just,
Yeah,
especially bigger clients that you might have, and if they leave your practice, it's really a tough blow. But
yeah.
then there's the client. We just had someone that was a billing administrator for one of our customers. She had left that company, got a job somewhere else, and remembered us and gave us a call. And
Wow.
I think an 8-person office, which was great.
Wow.
And she's like, yeah, I've remembered you guys from your email address. And she emailed Jay because he was the one sending her the bills.
Okay.
And then we sent her our plan, and they're like, sure, let's do it. Not even like,
Love that.
I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful.
That's
I'm not
great.
even blinking an eye. I was like, why can't they all do that and understand how valuable it is?
Totally. Yeah.
What am I
So-
doing wrong? What it is, I'm too visible
talk.
on the internet. If you do a search for Apple support, I'm there too many times. I'm just
MacWorks
people,
LLC, MacWorks.net.
Yeah,
people are like, oh, this has got to be a
Macwork
scam. This guy's all over the Google first page. I'm
Yeah.
not calling them.
Yeah. Not to brag, Jerry. We're not trying to be, because that's
Just
really the exception.
grind
Yeah.
me into the ground. Just,
No, what Sam is saying is the exception, but it does happen
Yeah.
every once in a while, and you just think to yourself, that was easy. And that's the way it really should
Rarely,
be.
yeah.
And especially 8, 10, 20-person company, sometimes the benefit is they know they need something. Not having a support contract in place is not an option in their
Yeah.
mind. Like, they just expect it. So that's an automatic. Like, that's a very easy sell. Like, they know us, or especially if they know us, then it's just a match. But if versus paying somebody a little less or a little more or whatever it is, that's an easier negotiation if they just know they have to pay something for this kind of relationship versus I can figure this out mostly. That's the harder sell when they're like, let's see, I can pay you $0 and I can install updates. And they don't really get it.
I can pay you $0.
Yeah, that's when you're competing against $0 and they think they're going to just roll their own and figure it out and it's going to be like, quote unquote, fine. That's a hard sell. And Jerry, I totally sympathize if that's like most of, because that's for me, most of these calls are like that.
yeah, and anybody who reaches out to me, I'm happy to answer their questions. And I frequently couch their answer in a way. This is why it would be really beneficial for you to sign up with our plan. Not only do
Yes.
we offer you this instantaneous service almost, where we can answer your questions, your quick fixes, but you get all this other stuff too. And they're like, no, we're okay. We're only on the internet. We don't want
Wishy-washy.
banking.
Yep,
Ugh.
I know.
Changed the color to my website, got rid of the magenta looking color. And the reason why I went with magenta, I originally had chosen a Facebook blue, which is what most people use and is supposed to symbolize trust. Go figure. Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't know who said that, but a competitor of ours was using blue on their website. So that was already
Wow.
taken. So I'm like, okay, I'll go with the magenta or whatever. And I hated the color. And I figured, okay, I'm blue. All the calls are going to come in now. Stand back.
Hey, I saw your website change to magenta.
I'm in.
I'm all in. Yeah, where do I sign? No, it's always good to refresh that just it's a facelift. It's like looking at, how did I position this? Can I improve the wording? Whatever. We go through that on a pretty regular basis too. But
Yeah, I noticed you made some changes to your website, Joe. I
did
was
you
snooping
notice?
around, yeah.
And yet
Yeah.
you still
Snoop
haven't
around.
signed up for my plan. So
I know. I can't afford it. All I do is browse the internet. I do a little online shopping at Amazon. I don't really need your plan.
you don't really
What,
need your plan.
what
I
am I
mean-
paying for anyway?
Yeah,
Are you
paying
billing
for.
me X amount of dollars a month?
Yeah.
What am I paying for? I don't understand it.
You
Yeah.
sound like my last phone call. That's amazing.
I know, right? Yeah, exactly.
It's really frustrating at times to have those kinds of calls. Like the one I just talked about, as you said, was an exception. Then there are plenty of those calls where it's just, what are we really getting?
Totally.
And it's hard because you want to be a little bit invisible because that means things are smooth. But the smoothness, like, sometimes hurts you because
Right.
things are fine. Why are you guys here? Like, why do we need
Right,
you?
exactly. Yeah, it's tricky. I think that we've talked about this on other shows too. This comes up when we're doing an update. We're talking about whatever it's DDM Notify or something else to pop up a prompt that shows your logo and what needs to happen. Or, hey, there's an update for Firefox. It's your logo and it's coming from Patch or whatever, a notification center. Anytime you can show your logo, at least they know like you're doing something for them, to the point where some people think, oh, hey, did you install an update on my computer? I didn't go on your computer. Like, this is just an automatic thing. Like, you explain what actually happens. But I won't always say it like that. I might just say, yes, there's an automatic update on this day. I'll go in and look in the events log or whatever. So any way you can be visible helps there. But the initial sale is the trickier part for me, where these ones I'm talking about, I'm sitting here bragging about these few clients. Like I said, 2 were new, great. But of the others, 3 of them over the last, again, we're talking 2 quarters. So over the last 4 or 5 months as we speak, there were 3. Half the clients were very long arcs to sell. They've been clients for a really long time. And in some cases, they expect that kind of service. I can just call you with questions anyway. Yeah, and if we're available, best effort, whatever. But sometimes they have to wait, and sometimes they don't care. And eventually, though, years later, literally like many years later, they finally say, I think I should have that plan. Because usually they get scared because they've been hacked. They're not following our security best practice, and they're getting these inundated with spam emails now because somebody's running a scam on them, and whatever's happening, something's compromised, and they're freaking out. And they know that, number one, they know we could have probably prevented that if they were more engaged with us. They know that they want to have a relationship with us when something like this happens, and they want to know that, hey, this is what I'm paying for. You're there picking up the phone because we have this relationship. I pay you monthly, so I know I trust you're there when I need you. That's, I think, that's what sells it, I think.
Yeah.
And we don't like to say that. It would be a shame if we weren't here to answer your call. We don't like to make it like that, but we do say we're busy right now and we have to leave space for our SIMAC Prime clients because they pay for the privilege of that kind of priority. And hey, how's next week? And sometimes they do get the message over time, I really should be paying for this privilege where I really want him to be there or want them to be there when I call. So that's what I think has made these sales. The other one, how rare it is to have a Windows to Mac switcher anymore. Have you guys had one anytime recently that you can think of?
We have one that we haven't hooked yet. That is Windows that are saying they are wanting to move to Mac, but I don't know how serious they are. But yeah, I guess that's a good point, Joe. I don't know that I've seen that in a while.
We went through a wave years ago where it was pretty steady, a few per year or every couple months, whatever. And I mean, there was probably a point in time where Apple's marketing was really focused on that. And there's low-hanging fruit here. Mac is a great option now. And a lot of people don't know that. And there are Windows. And there's the I'm a Mac and I'm a PC commercials. And
love those.
So, yeah. So there was a time where there's a lot more of those out there that are like candidates. But I just was, again, forgot if we talked about it on the show, or I was definitely talking about with Tim, though, recently about when was the last time we had a Windows to Mac switcher? Like, I just couldn't even remember the last one. And then I bring this up because I've had 2 in the last month, Windows to Mac switchers. So I don't know if this is going to be a start of a trend or just whatever. But what about you, Jerry? You must get some of those every once in a while, no?
I want you to convince me on why I should use Mac. I've heard Mac is really good, but I've always thought Mac was for the home and the PC was for business. But I want you to convince me why I should switch to Mac.
Okay, let's play a game. Convince me, Jerry. What would you say to that? I know you don't like to bite when they say that. You don't like to say, I'm going to tell you why you need to switch to the Mac. You just say, if you don't know already, I don't want to force your hand and have you maybe be angry later that you never should have gone through with this. Is that kind of more your vibe, or do you have a script you like to follow to say, yeah, I'll tell you why it's great?
No, Joe, I'm not going to role play with you and be your poodle.
He's already got a dog in his hands.
I've got a dog that I've got one poodle to deal with as it is. No, what I think the observation I was going to make was I get around a PC pretty well. I know Windows 10, I know Windows 11. I know pretty much.
You good with 12?
I'm not good with 12.
Whatever it takes, yeah. No.
But go into the registry and all that stupid stuff. I'm not good with PowerShell commands and that sort of thing. But I cannot get over how complicated that frigging operating system is to run and how these people have this comfort level running their work on a PC, and they don't know how to run their PC to begin with. But it's just so ridiculous compared to a Mac. But how do you convey that to someone? That's a real challenge. So I'm not a Mac evangelist, and I'm not going to convince somebody on PC to make that switch. How did your switchers? By the way, Apple still supports switching very well. They have a migration assistant, which works wonderfully well. I probably used that about a year and a half ago, maybe, from a PC to a Mac. But how did your people that you were dealing with, Joe, how did they arrive at deciding they wanted to make that switch, and how did they find you in that way?
One of them was a referral from the Apple Store, and this is something I mentioned recently too, where I know you don't hear that very often. There's a lot of eye rolling and shade thrown at the Apple Store about, where are my referrals? I'm a member of the Apple Partner Network. I want my referrals. And we sit back and wait, like entitled people saying,
Was that an impression of me, Joe?
No, that is an amalgamation.
Because it sounded a lot like me.
Did it really? Okay.
It did. Even the dog perked up.
The dog's like, Jerry?
No, that is something that you read in Slack or you hear from colleagues. It's really actually what the impression I was doing was, where are my coupons? It used to be we get the discount coupons on new hardware, and everybody wants the coupons, and that's the only reason they signed up for the ACN back in the day or whatever. And I'm acting extra cynical here. Everybody just wants to feel entitled to, what has Apple done for me lately, kind of thing. And it's a two-way street, as we've said. There's a lot more on Patreon about this too, but I think the best thing you can do to foster this relationship with your local store is make sure you're reciprocating. Either take care of that client that they send you that you'd rather just say, this person sounds like it's going to be a lot of work and they're not going to be easy to work with. Sometimes I bite the bullet and I just try to help them out, because I know they came from Apple, and the feedback's going to get back to Apple that, wow, that could have gone sideways. I'm really glad we called you. That's what I want Apple to think of when they hear from that person again. But more so, custom store program, baby. Let's get set up for a custom store with your bigger 5, 10 person and up clients. Even the smaller ones, if they want to buy a few Macs all at once, it's worth it to go through the process to make sure you're speccing the right hardware and stuff. That also puts you on Apple's radar as a source of sales. You're now actively recommending Apple hardware to your clients, and their purchase is going to go through the local store. So that helps the local store, frankly, meet their metrics or whatever they need to do to be in good standing with Apple corporate. I'm assuming they have to sell a certain number of computers to stay in business. Essentially, that's helping them out by funneling those sales to them and just being on their radar with those transactions. So that's how I think I'm getting some of these referrals. And it's not just automatic. Hey, I sent you all these iMacs. 5 iMacs were purchased in the last couple months. Where's my referrals? It does not work like that. It just is something that, again, you foster over time. And it's very much depends on who's in the Apple Store on the business team and whether they remember you and think of you. And also, I will credit Apple for really reaching out to me. Years ago, there's a relationship I have with a couple local stores where they reached out to me when the first few sales came through me to the store. And they're like, hey, we just want to understand a little more about what you offer. What's your ideal client? We had just an informal phone conversation. And I described a few. I'm like, we're really big in the interior design market for some reason. We've got a bunch of these clients that are in this field. Here's how we help them. Here's how they work. We do everything from managing an on-premises server for a company that has big files living on a server, like video editing or whatever, to managing Microsoft 365, to installing Unify networks and all that. You give them a sense of what you do. They don't know. They don't have time to Google you and listen to the show and figure out who you are and whatever.
Right.
You've got to tell Apple when should they think of you? This person's in the store. They're hard to work with. They think of me because I sometimes work with these people that are difficult or whatever. So anyway, that's how I've fostered this relationship over the years. And that is where one in particular Windows switcher came from. She found her way to the Apple Store. She probably had a friend tell her, hey, it's about time you get a Mac. And it was a little bit complex because, yes, as Jerry said, you have this really sweet Windows to Mac migration that Apple supports, but there were some complications. There's already, I forget, in one case, different client, there was already a really old iMac, but then the current computer was Windows, but they needed to migrate from both the Mac and the Windows machine. So that's not something that they'll figure out themselves or that Apple will help you with, probably. In the other case, they were using OneDrive and they had a bunch of stuff there, but it wasn't on the PC, but there was stuff in all these different locations that were not part of the migration process. Anyway, we had to basically consolidate data and migrate some stuff that was in Outlook, some stuff that was files that were in random locations on the system, plus OneDrive to the Mac. And it's a white glove service, as we say. It's more of a boutique offering. Yeah.
Did you have to do any like PST migrations, like old school? Like I forget what I used to use back in the day.
Good question.
What was it?
Email Chemi or whatever? Email?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I've used that before as well. No, I think I can't remember if this was already on the server, but there was a lot of work we did on the Windows system. So I had to brush up on Windows a little bit.
Yeah.
But moving stuff in random like offline local folders or whatever to like moving contacts to the server and just different stuff like that to make that part of the process easier.
What's that app? It's PC to PC, but I know you've used it in the past, and this is not relevant to what Joe's talking about, but what is it called? PC Mover? Is that what it's called, Sam?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I will use that.
Like with a proprietary cable too or something.
Yeah. I used that a few years ago. Still works really darn well.
Agree. 100%. Makes it really easy.
This stuff, Jerry, PC to PC or like PC to VM, or what's your you still get into that kind of stuff?
Oh, no job is refused here, Joe.
Okay.
Except if you sound loopy on the phone, I'll take a pass. But.
Fair. That's very fair.
Send them to us.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I step in. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Joe, just talking about the referrals and how to treat them and stuff like that. I was thinking about you the other day because I got a referral from the Apple Store, and admittedly, I was doing a few different things, so I wasn't that engaged in the conversation. But it was like a half-hour call of me not saying a word. Okay. It was like 29 minutes of this person just talking.
Huh.
And I was
interesting.
Like, wow.
This was a client or like a
just a potential. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that is impressive.
Yeah.
Just the amount of time.
What's your action item at the end of that? So you just received a bunch of info from them and you're like, okay, so
yeah. And once I was able to focus, because like I said, I was coming from a different location, but then we sat down and talked a little bit more, but it ended up being like an hour phone call. And I don't know that it'll turn into anything. Person was very nice, nothing bad at all. But I was thinking about you, and you're like 1.5 hour, 2 hour free calls and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's Joe's MO.
That's Jerry calls that my sales process. 1.5 hour free call and no client signing at the end. That's my sales process. Yeah. But I make it up in volume, and just, as the saying goes, it's tricky, man. It's a test of patience.
It is.
Yeah.
This is not about new clients, but I have to tell this because it's been on my mind. It's about a client, but not anybody new. I've had this person in my life for years and years. It's like the spouse of someone of a company we used to work with that's now since gone. And he's, I don't know, late 70s, really great guy. I truly enjoy hearing from him, a nice gentleman. But we were going back and forth for a while about his connection for his charging for his Mac not working, or was going on and off and working sometimes and not the other. And he's always interesting. He uses interesting words. The receptacle where I put it in is not taking the charge. And so it took me a while to figure out, is this USB-C? Is this MagSafe? What's the issue? Because he was trying to describe it. I had him try and send me pictures. He bought new cables. Nothing was working, right? Or he bought new bricks, I should say. And so I finally got a FaceTime call with him going. I'm like, all right, let's take a look at this together. Let's have a look what's going on. And he's like, all right, I'll show you because I still didn't know if it was MagSafe or USB-C. So he takes it off and he shows it on FaceTime, and it's MagSafe. I'm like, oh, okay, great. He's like, yeah, but sometimes I connect it. It doesn't work. Sometimes it does. And I look at it. I'm like, is there something on there? And he's looking closely because he's an older gentleman. He's like, there's like a little piece of Scotch tape just like covering part of it.
Wow.
And he's all B. He goes,
all B.
and he takes off the little tape and he plugs in and he's like, it's working. He just had a little remnant of tape that he never saw on this thing. And I was working with like weeks just texting back and forth. Wow. I thought it was hysterical. That was the fix, but I've had to share that.
Where little metal filings will get caught on the computer because that's where the magnet is. Inside that little MagSafe interface. And sometimes I've had you have to be careful to take something plastic or wooden like a toothpick to try to flick them off when they're clinging to the magnet. Yeah. But that can cause a problem too.
I didn't think about that. I haven't had that happen, but that makes total sense.
I've seen that in the past too. Yeah, where those little metal filings, like or a staple, like whether it's unused
Yeah.
or
Sure.
not, or something
Yeah.
really thin and like that, and you can miss it, especially the just random little like Jerry's saying filings. They stick there and you can't even see them some of the time.
The other thing that's observational most recently, and it annoys me on my newish computer, is that MagSafe connector will start to wear a little bit around the edges. It's not quite square. It's not square anyway, but it'll start to get wear as you connect it, disconnect it. And it still makes a good connection, but visually it looks worn across the top where the chamfer is that on either side.
Mhm.
It's like a thing that you wouldn't expect to see that with an Apple product, like something
Yeah.
that visually signs visual wear when on a keyboard and from the oil from your hands or whatever will wear down keys.
I'll show
But what are
you
you going to show us here,
I'll,
Joe?
I'll show you visible wear. You see this case? This is an Apple case, okay?
Is it
This
leather or
started-
is it rubber?
No, it's just crap. I don't know what it is. It's plastic. It's plastic.
crap.
Well,
No, but it's rubberized, right? It's grippy, right?
yeah. It's tacky.
That's what I
whatever. Yeah.
use. Yeah, they start to flake off.
Yeah, they flake off. That's why.
Joe just got pissed
No,
off.
I'm pissed off because it looks so whatever the opposite of premium is. I paid good money for this iPhone. Okay, I'm sorry. It's not last year. It's the year before. This is the 2024 iPhone. Can you believe I'm still carrying this around, Jerry?
Like an animal.
How do I not justify buying whatever the new? Anyway, you know why? Because I couldn't decide between the Air and the Pro, so I just I
Pro.
gave up on it. Yeah, so I kept my Pro from my whatever model. This is the 16 Pro. Okay, iPhone 16 Pro. Been in a case since day one. Apple premium product here. This case. The case is like $40, right? You'd think for $40 whole dollars that Apple could make a product that serves the purpose of enclosing my phone to keep my phone safe, right? Isn't that what is a case supposed to do? That's what it's supposed to do. Keep the phone safe, enclose the phone. Why does the case start chipping off in the corner and wearing away where now the corner of my phone is no longer being protected by a case because the case couldn't even protect itself. Okay. So I am upset about this because this is not new. This issue started to occur week 3 or something of having this case. And I'm like, oh, am I a klutz? I just dropped the phone and Apple, you're dropping it wrong. You shouldn't drop the phone. You can't drop the phone.
Nice. That's a good classic reference right there.
Maybe
right?
I need to get a case for my case. If I want to risk dropping the phone in the case, I need a case to protect the case, apparently. The $45 case or whatever is not protective enough. Anyway, I'm clearly upset about this because it's not just me. It's apparently Jerry and my wife with this Apple case. The case just falls apart in your hand.
And you go into the store and they won't make good on it. They're like, no, that's wear and tear.
Yeah, expected. Right? So now
terrible.
because of how it wore away, this is my cynical take on planned obsolescence or whatever, but it wears away in the corner so it doesn't quite stay in the case fully because it wants to I mean, it's fine, but it's just not doing the job that I bought the case for. And I know, okay, fine, it's over a year old. What am I doing, right? But that doesn't sound so excessive
It's
to me.
designed to make your phone fall out of the case so you buy another one.
Another case, another phone.
Or have an Apple Care repair.
Yeah. Again, and that's why I used to just go in commando, as we joked about at Aces, Sam.
Yeah.
You might as well just have your phone be a phone and have Apple Care Plus, and if you crack it, whatever, you just buy it. There's your case money. It goes toward your
But
Apple
you don't
Care
get that
incident
delicious trade-in value when you upgrade.
Yeah, if it's cracked. No, I'm sure I walked listeners through this at one point, but my wife had an iPhone 12 Pro or something just when she got this phone. Anyway, the 12 Pro is 3 or 4 years old, still protected by Apple Care, and I paid the incident fee to have the front and back fixed. It sent me a brand new phone. You can even do an advanced replacement, so I got the new phone, and I traded the new replacement phone into Apple through AT&T, whatever the plan was, to get $800 off. So I paid $80 or $100, I forget what the incident fee was, for a brand new phone to trade in to get the full replacement value, the full trade-in value of $800. So it was a really good deal even then. But she had it in a case and it was still broken. So anyway, but You
Dude,
can't win.
this is not a comparison because this was my own doing, but I just got the 17 Pro, and I got it because my son, who has one of my older phones, was like a 14. The battery life just started to deplete too much, and I'm like, I'm not gonna pay that anymore, so I'll just give him my old phone and I'll get the 17 because I hadn't upgraded. So I couldn't decide on a case. So I get my new phone. I look around for a little while on Amazon. I finally pick a case. I have it for 2 days without a case. I had something. Yes, I was wearing shorts at the gym. I had something urgent I had to attend to. I ran out, comes out of my, just boom on the cement.
Yep.
And I'm like, you gotta be effing kidding me.
Of course.
I was so pissed. But it's not cracked, but it just looks beat up.
Yeah.
Now you didn't fix it?
No, because it's nothing cracked. It's just the edges got dented.
Barked up. Yeah, you won't get a good trade-in value now.
I don't know, because the last one I traded in was my son's, and they said any condition, and I got $900 for it. So who knows?
I'm not sure what case you got, Sam, but I did this research on Amazon for my prior phone. I don't know why I went with the Apple one this time. I thought it's nice. It has a little subtle Apple logo.
That's because I recommended it to you, Joe, I believe, on a show.
The Apple one, or
yeah, the rubber one there, the Apple rubber one. That's the one I've been using.
It's just
forever.
Yeah, I do having a case these days because it's just the hand feel and like being able to place it on certain surfaces where otherwise it would slide and whatever. Anyway, I don't mind the case, and I thought Apple of all companies would make the best case. It would be still very attractive and it would do the job of a case. But my previous phone, I think, did better in this Spigen case or whatever, Spigen. So I used two of those for two different phones, the 12 Pro and the 13 Pro. I used those for those phones. And then I used this one for my 15 Pro, the Torras, Torras. Those were all great, no complaints, and these are much cheaper than what Apple charges. $16 for like in one case and $24 in the other case. So anyway, but yeah, cases, they're not all the same, and I have to say I don't recommend the Apple one anymore. Why did I get on that topic of Apple stuff breaking or something? Jerry mentioned something, it hit a nerve, I think.
Yeah, I know. You got all fired up as soon as he said something. It was pretty funny, actually. Sure you changed demeanor very quickly.
I know. It's been on my mind about this case. Every time I pick it up, how can Apple not make a case that just is a case and doesn't become less of a case over time? Just seems like a simple request. I don't know. I'm not very tough with the phone. I'm not rough with it. Anyway.
If you don't mind, I got a completely unrelated question for you guys.
Is it a quiz?
It's not a quiz. Although I think I do have something of a quiz. I don't know if this will be a quiz. All right, let's try this. Let's do it live. I had a client that used to use Proofpoint for email scanning, and they used a very old version of Proofpoint with Microsoft 365 where they had to change the MX records and flow that mail through Proofpoint. So every time you look at Microsoft settings and domain, it says your MX records are configured incorrectly. So we moved them over to a new platform, and the day of the switch, I switched the MX records. Everything went fine, and it was good for a week. Then I had Jay on my team actually officially cancel Proofpoint, and as soon as he did that, like clockwork, mail started. They were getting failure to send messages saying they were not authorized to send these emails, and so the whole domain was effed. So, besides the MX records, and we're talking Microsoft, does anyone know where else I had to go to resolve it?
So not a C name change?
No, there's nothing DNS related that was wrong. I changed the right MX records.
Oh, man. Then it's got to be something in the Microsoft portal about, I don't know.
It's too bad we don't have live listeners.
He had to go into Proofpoint and disconnect the connection somehow. Right?
No,
I had to do it in Microsoft. So Joe is on the.
Oh, okay.
It's not coming to me the screen or the.
Did you need to revalidate through Microsoft once you changed the DNS?
Good question.
Good thought. But no, I did validate them correctly, and it worked.
Okay.
But it was somewhere else in Microsoft. I don't know if you guys want me to tell you.
You had to defrag the hard drive?
That was later. That was once we got things up
Too
and
many
running.
icons on the desktop?
We used Norton Disk Doctor to get everything working.
Nice.
Computers needed a general cleanup?
All right.
So it was
out of ideas.
Yeah. Conflict catcher. Okay.
Those
Go ahead, Sam.
ideas have been the same ideas for the last decade.
Yeah. Decade, like 30 years. Okay, go ahead. What is it?
We've been doing the show a little bit longer than a decade.
Sam, can you tell us what the answer was and also give us the last 3 names that Microsoft used for this feature?
Was it like Purview or it was actually it was an Exchange Admin Center under Mailflow rules. And there were
Mailflow. That's the term I was trying to think of. Mailflow.
Right?
But
yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
And I had thought that Proofpoint was so old that it was just MX, and it was my fault. I just completely was like, okay, we're good. And then it didn't rear its head until we canceled it. And then those Mailflow rules stopped.
Wow.
So you had originally put in those Mailflow rules according to Proofpoint installation back in the day.
We must have. Or actually, no, now that I think about it, it was, this was like, I don't know, it has to be 8, 10, I don't know how many years ago it's been in existence, but many years. But one of the employees' spouses worked as a consultant with Proofpoint, and that's how they got it set up. And he's the one that set it up. So I'm just throwing blame now that I can.
There you go. Yep.
I didn't know to look there, but it's my fault still.
Yeah, but if you didn't do it, how would you be expected to undo it, what you didn't do?
Yeah, especially since
the instructions.
Yeah. But especially after MX record changes did nothing. I was like, all right, cool, it's working now.
It still works, exactly.
Yeah.
We went through this. I'll stand right alongside you, Sam, with the making mistakes or not knowing right away what the issue is. So we had a client, we were testing Exclaimer, that's what you call it, right? The signature management thing. So we thought, this will be cool. We can, because the client wants us to manage their signatures on all these different devices across all their employees. And they've been manually doing this for so long. We said, there's a service for this. So it might be time to actually use a service. So we said, we're just exploring this for you. We'll put it on like a test account and we'll set it up and test it and we'll get it all dialed in for you. So the first thing we're testing it with, you set it up and you flag just one particular account. You can either do like a group or all accounts, just like including new ones that get added, whatever, or you can test with it. We just said, let's just do this one account. So it's not going to affect anybody else. So we set up the one account. We're testing it. We didn't like the fact that if you upload an image, it just attaches the image to every email. We thought, it would host it for you or whatever. We've got to just roll our own, basically put it on the client website and then reference that image location like in the code.
Really?
I think that's my learning, and a few of our colleagues validated that on Slack. So we got to that point and we just said, all right, let's put this aside. We'll come back to this. So this was during a trial period for Exclaimer. And we left our testing in place and we said, we'll come back to this. So I guess a month or whatever amount of time goes by and the client reaches out to us and says, we can't send email. And we're like, oh crap, what's going on here? And we start to look into this and we realized that Exclaimer had expired. And like your situation, I'm pretty sure it's a mail flow thing where you're basically telling all the email to flow through Exclaimer because it has to like add the signature and send it on its merry way. Now I know that. And I wasn't the one testing it. Nevertheless, it was our fault is the point. Like why we for a time couldn't send mail. So we figured out pretty quickly, but that was the explanation. And it goes to show you, even though we said, it's only this one user that we're setting up, of course, everybody's flowing through Exclaimer and then Exclaimer expired. So that stopped working and they stopped being able to send mail. So that was my little example.
That's crazy how that can happen. Just to think about it makes sense, but just how everything can stop because like your signature vendor expired and now no communication.
Look at that. It's a single point of failure too. So now your single point of failure is no longer Microsoft. It's actually Exclaimer. If they fail, you're done. Probably also Microsoft now. So is that
good? No. And the other thing that Sam identified was that they don't host the image. If you sign up for something like WiseStamp, they're hosting the images for you.
Yeah, that's why I was surprised.
This is great. Okay, I'm going to make a note here because this is what I wanted to know. I asked, in fact, on Slack about this, saying, okay, is there something better, basically? Because everybody else was saying, yeah, no, you have to like basically stick it in a directory on the client website. It has to be a public web server. You can upload a PNG or whatever to the client's web server. It's not linked anywhere internally, but it has to live in a directory that their web developer is not going to say, oh, I'm not using any of these images.
Yeah.
Okay, you stick it there and then you reference that. But then for every email going back in time, maybe 10 years from now, like you still need to manage. In theory, you want that image to live forever on that website at that exact location.
Yeah.
So it certainly would seem to be better if you're going to just pick a signature vendor and use them forever, just to have them host that as well. You know?
Plus, it eliminates a lot of hassles too if they're hosting the image, because a lot of times these images, for whatever reason, are flagged by another mail carrier that it's not legitimate. And how many times have you gotten an email from a client and it's in the spam folder and you look and in their signature, they're still referencing their website as HTTP :
Yeah.
instead of S. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Classic move there. That's crazy.
You brought that up at one point, Jerry, I think about that was an issue with mail going to junk. You had to update some signature link to a website or something like it.
Yeah, maybe for me, something like that. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be a real issue that most people aren't thinking about. But okay, WiseStamp. So that works with Microsoft 365 to.
No. Yeah, it does. But Sam, you probably have deployed this in larger groups. Don't you have to manually paste in the code there's no central management of the.
Oh,
they have a connector. They do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
so it works really well.
Or that's assuming is that assuming you're using Outlook, like the add-on, or is that just for every outgoing mail, regardless of your device sending?
It's funny. I've been doing a lot with this as of very recently, and we were looking at Exclaimer actually because there was something we didn't like, but. Yeah, so Outlook you can deploy it through Microsoft admin. You can deploy it so it integrates as a function of an add-in, I should say, as Outlook.
Yes. Okay.
And then they have a WiseStamp local app that you can run for like Apple Mail to insert it into Apple Mail. I haven't used that in a while, but it's an app that you download, basically configure the signature to pop in there. But so the one reason we were having issues and actually thinking about Exclaimer, but I didn't know what you just said, Joe, about the hosted image.
Check the thread on, I think it's on the ACN channel on Slack where a few people.
Yeah, that's important.
That. I know. Yeah.
Because the client wanted to switch because they're using HubSpot, and Exclaimer has a direct integration with HubSpot to apply a signature if they send out, and WiseStamp does not. So with that, we had to add a server-side add-on to Entra. And I'm just thinking as I'm talking for WiseStamp, so that anything not going out through WiseStamp will automatically get the signature, thereby adding it to HubSpot. But it just applies globally to anything that sends as you. So I'm not sure how great that is.
And WiseStamp is significantly more money.
It didn't turn out to be like, it was like a few cents per user difference. It was pretty low. And I don't know if that's volume. This had, I think, 100 addresses. So maybe that's volume.
Yeah.
But Jerry uses WiseStamp.
So does Sam.
Does he? Yeah. See, to me, it just seems like this should be built in by Microsoft. Like, why?
It is, but it's not a stylized signature.
You can put a disclaimer thing, right? It's more for a disclaimer on outgoing messages, isn't it? It's not like a style.
Oh, yeah, they're like banner or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I don't know. It just seems the first party should do it, Microsoft specifically and Google for that matter. But to just have a stylized signature that's standardized across the board. I think the client. What's that?
Sorry, I was going to say you want them to Sherlock WiseStamp, basically.
Basically. And I wonder, again, like, what's the lobby for WiseStamp and Exclaimer? These, like, signature company lobbyists are making sure Microsoft doesn't... Because, I mean, they're getting, like, $1 or $2 per person per month just for sticking a signature on every message. Just seems like something that should be built in. I'm sorry.
It's the same reason why Google doesn't have a shared contacts methodology for people in a group. I mean, they just don't want to be bothered, so they throw it out
to third parties.
Third parties.
What I'm paying for.
Yep.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's annoying.
Yeah. This client wanted also a certain font, like their font for their branding. And we had to explain the recipient's typically not going to have this font. So you probably should just use one of the standard web fonts or
That's
like a
right.
generic font or whatever. But then some people I've seen creating their signature as a graphic that gets attached to every message, and it's company logo, company name in a special font, their name, their title. What if their title changes later? We'll make a new graphic and the phone number. That's actually just a graphic. So it's all just one big, huge white background, black text PNG, because that's the only way you can really ensure you get the layout and the font and all the graphics and everything that you want. Still not
Yeah.
great, but that's
Still
what they
not
do.
great.
Yeah.
How about these emails that you get from these web technology companies, maybe people that we know, and they have all these stinking badges in their
Oh,
signature?
yeah. Voted the
Like,
best top
oh,
something.
goodness gracious. Do we really need that?
Every
Who is
email
that
is an
for?
opportunity for marketing. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if you
Exactly.
pay. I've never paid attention to that sort of thing. I admittedly used to have my certs in my signature and stuff. I don't anymore, but I don't
did a
think
long
anyone
time ago.
cares.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone cares. To Jerry's point,
I
don't
was
think.
thinking of adding how to get help because, okay, how to get help, you'd think it would be implied in the fact that I'm putting a phone number in the signature. Like, that's how to get help. And here's my website. You can send a ticket, whatever. But still, people wonder, how do I, you've got Tim, do you have somebody, an operations manager anymore? What should I do when I need you guys? You can try any method, we'll figure it out, right? You don't have to follow a certain protocol. But what I do say is you can email, here's our shared address. If it's time sensitive, call the main number and leave a voicemail in our leave a message on our shared voicemail. So I'm thinking of putting that in my signature so that it's just very clear. Here's the way you can reach us, because maybe I'm going to be off and they shouldn't just email me. They should email Tim, or they should email the main address that we both share, and or call the main phone number. What, Jerry? Go to the office
Another
and go
hand?
walk. Let me hear it. Let's hear it.
Now, with Y-Stamp, and I'm
Yeah.
sure with these other ones too, you can create like a call to action button. So if you wanted to do that,
Okay.
you could just get help now, like a big red button, and they press that, and that could just dump you into a web page that says, you could send us an email, you could call us, blah, blah, blah. So that would be a great solution for you rather than trying to put that in your signature. That'd be too much for somebody to read.
I guess.
With the big red button, get help now, boom. I want to press that.
Yeah,
what does that take me? How do I get help?
Right. That's true. I could do it through a central, just like a page on the site that tells you, here's how to get help.
Or a page that's not indexed.
Exactly.
Just a sub page that, isn't public facing.
Yeah.
Just make sure it works, because I recently had to get help from I forget who it was, but it was a company I was dealing with, and I clicked on their get help and it said, "Uh-oh, that page cannot be found."
Oh, that's great.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Love seeing that. Yeah. That's funny. Oh man.
Oh, snap.
I gotta research. Yeah, the snap when you try to get help. That's always a lovely feature. But no, Exclaimer, I was surprised about that because everybody seemed to be singing its praises about, just you can manage all this stuff, and there's no way to add an image that they host, so you have to just like pre-host that. So I'm gonna do a little more research, and I'll look into Y-Stamp as well, because it sounds like similar. Maybe they handle the images better, but they also have the same way of dealing with which device you're sending from. There's either an add-on for Outlook if you're native, or if you're third party, then there's a different method. So I'm gonna look into that more. All right, guys, thanks everybody out there for listening to another episode of Command Control Power. And to hear more from us, you can sign up on Patreon. Go to commandcontrolpower.com and click on support, and you get access to a lot more episodes out there in case you're not yet a patron of Command Control Power. We really appreciate you both listening and supporting Command Control Power. Thanks, and we'll talk to you next week. Special thanks to the following community members whose strong monthly support has sustained us for all these years: Ryan Gowdy, CoreCompetent.com, Weldon Dodd, Kanji.io, Richard Wingfield, EnvisionDesign.net, Adam Rice, AskAdam.io, Mac Admins Podcast, podcast.macadmins.org, Tim Nyberg, TheMacGuys.com, Michael Thompson, Origin84.com, Matthew Waples, Waples.net, Tom Puls, BoxIT.tech, Jerome Potters, PITPro.nl, Steve Sorbo, MacSOS.biz, Andy Espo, callandy.com, and Nate Sinal, weareascout.com. Thank you all very much, and thanks to our patrons at every level of support. If you enjoy the show, we really would love your support. And if you already support us and can increase your monthly pledge, we really do find that encouraging. commandcontrolpower.com and click support. Thanks very much for listening and for supporting the show.
Jerry does his voices on the cloud.
Joe spins his deeply detailed yarns all the time.
I have a whole story about this.
Sam is on the road again, phoning in from a hotel.
At least we know where I am.
Half a century combined of Apple expertise right now. Right now. My Mac is slow. Have you tried restarting? Well, the fans won't blow. Have you tried restarting? But my data is gone. Have you tried restarting? I dropped it